On February 24th, 2020, Sarah Boone and her boyfriend George Torres were spending an evening together at Sarah's home. The couple had a bit of a tumultuous past. Both had been arrested on domestic violence charges, but they always seemed to get back together. On this night, the two were drinking. But what happened next is almost inexplicable. George got inside of a suitcase that was then zipped shut. Why and exactly how he got into the suitcase is not 100% clear, but what is clear is that at one point he wanted to get out. He pleaded with Sarah to open the suitcase, but she refused. Instead, she turned on the video camera on her phone and started to record as George begged for his life. Still, she refused to unzip the suitcase. Then the following morning, she eventually called 911. She said she and George were playing hide and seek, and George ended up in the suitcase. When police responded, they found George dead. Sarah has been charged with second-degree murder. It's the trial that may never happen. It's been scheduled and rescheduled again, as 8 different attorneys have tried to represent her. And now she sent out a flyer trying to get someone to be her lawyer. What is going on with Sarah Boone, and will this trial ever happen? We'll take a closer look as we investigate the Suitcase murder trial.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Thanks for joining us. This story's been with us for quite some time, but I want to begin and talk about the victim in this case. His name is George Torres. And the end of his life was absolute torture. It was excruciating the way that he died. And this is a story that is hard to understand how it could even happen. But he's inside of that suitcase. And as he's inside that suitcase, he is literally begging for his life. Because the woman who purportedly put him inside there is the one holding the phone camera, recording this and taunting him. And he's saying, I can't breathe. No, really, I can't breathe. Let me out. Now, they both were drinking that night. But where's the humanity in this? For this man to die that death, and we've had experts on to talk about that, it's excruciating. So, what has happened in this case? And to me, there is more happening here, right? Like, this is the case that, will it ever go to trial? We go back and look at the timeline of what's happened here. It was February 24th, 2020, right in the beginning of COVID, that Torres was suffocated to death inside of that suitcase. The accused, Sarah Boone, has had 8 different attorneys. 8 different attorneys who have walked away from this case. 8 attorneys who came out and said, yeah, I can do it. I'm a defense attorney. This is what we do. But they couldn't do it representing her. The next hearing in this case is scheduled for August 5th, and the trial is now set to begin on October 7th. So what has happened here? Sarah Boone, because of her behavior, has really turned this into almost like a circus-like atmosphere with this case. So today she was called into court for a hearing, and she seemed a bit confused about why she was there. Check this out, courtesy of Fox 35 in Orlando.
I am thoroughly confused. Was a notice ever put online for this or mailed to anyone? I don't even know why Mr. Lane is here. I don't know why I'm here.
Well, ma'am, you are now representing yourself, and previously you had requested to appear at every hearing that was held. As you are now representing yourself, the court cannot have any hearings regarding your case without you being here.
She's now representing herself. Okay, so she's apparently in charge of herself, and the judge wants to go forward with the trial. I just don't know how it happens. Watching her behavior. Now, Fox 35 Orlando also captured this moment.
If we have to set a hearing, you'll be properly noticed for it.
In the certificate of service.
You'll be properly noticed for it, yes, ma'am.
And will there be a proper notice for today?
Notice was performed last night. I've
Am
already
I allowed to
explained.
ask the news crews how they got here?
No, ma'am, I'm not going to let you do that. They're not under oath. They're not a party to this action right now.
It's wrong and it's unfair.
You're certainly entitled to that opinion.
She's not stupid. She's not stupid. I mean, that's been clear throughout all of this, but will this case ever happen? Let's bring in our guests. Get their take on this. Former Assistant State Attorney, Civil Rights Attorney, and Criminal Defense Attorney down in Florida, Sue Ann Robinson, also with us, Criminal Defense Attorney. You know him from our coverage of the Karen Reed trial, Joseph Krowski Jr. Sue Ann, this is Florida. This is your territory. What's going on? Does this case go forward with her representing herself? Is 8 enough when it comes to giving her attorneys?
Yeah, I think 8 is more than enough. I think the Bible says, you know, a man who has himself for a client, you know how that goes. So do I think she's stupid? No, but is she a lawyer and can she represent herself on a murder 2 charge? I don't think so. And I think there's confusion right now because the judge doesn't have a way to notice her because he doesn't have an attorney to notice. So the only way to notice her is to get them to bring her to court. And it's caused so much confusion for her, but it's a very simple issue. She doesn't have a lawyer to communicate, the court can communicate with, so he has to communicate directly with her. And the only way he can do that is to bring her to court.
Joseph, apparently now she's going to be given a laptop and 4 hours a day to prepare for this October trial. What are your thoughts about how that's going to work out?
It's going to be an unmitigated disaster, clearly. She's not stupid, and people that are similar to her typically aren't. It's pretty obvious to me, and you see this a lot in the legal field, when someone cycles through attorney after attorney after attorney, typically they have some sort of a DSM-4 borderline personality disorder, and she fits all the criteria. She's not going to be ready to go forward with trial because she's going to need to put on a mental health defense. It's not a question of who did it or what happened. It's a question of whether or not she's criminal responsible. You know, I think a lawyer has to give her some leeway and put up with things that you wouldn't put up with in another client. Sit there, get some gumption and fortitude and represent the woman.
Sue Ann, she has been locked up since 2020. So it's not like she's getting away with anything by not being able to hold on to a lawyer. She's serving her sentence seemingly on the front end of this case. How long can it go before it has to go, a trial down in Florida?
Yeah, I think the court is going to decide that. I think 4 years is getting on the gray-haired side of a case, and I think the court has said October 7th, and that's when it's going to start. Also, with her cycling through her 8 attorneys, it's important to note the court said, come rain, come shine, come new attorney, we're going on October 7th. That means if she retains new counsel on October 6th, that attorney is going to have to be ready to go. So she put out her ad for a lawyer saying it's an epic opportunity. I would say a unique opportunity, an interesting opportunity, and definitely a stressful opportunity. I don't know about epic. I reserve that for yacht weekends and maybe holidays with friends. I don't know about an epic opportunity.
So, Joseph, is this a defense? We know it's a strong case against her, but is it a defensible case? And if so, what would an attorney who had the case and staying on the case, what do you do? What are the avenues that you take to try to present something in front of a jury?
Well, in that regard, it's not the most, look, it's a difficult case, but you have one avenue to go down, and you got to present a mental health defense because they've got the video, they've got her statements, they've got the evidence right there. But I certainly think that she needs evaluations, and she could put forward a mental health defense, but a lawyer's not going to be able to do that in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. It's been 4 years, so what? Let's do it once and let's do it the right way. If I was in Florida, I'd represent her without hesitation.
You know, she watches court TV, Joseph, so you may get a call, and then Sue Ann can put in and represent and let you come in from out of state, right? So the two of you could basically handle this case. I don't know if you want to.
Let's do it.
Yeah, Joseph would actually do it. Sue Ann, so second-degree murder in Florida, what's it really about here? What's the standard? What has to be proven here for prosecutors to be successful in terms of her state of mind? Is there planning having to be involved here?
Well, there is no premeditation on murder too. I think a solid defense for her, aside from maybe a mental health angle, is the inebriated angle. Like, she does not have the proper mens rea to actually have completed the crime. She wasn't in the state of mind. She didn't have intent because she's inebriated. The video clip that is continuously shown of her talking to him inside of the suitcase, you can clearly hear that she's slurring her words. The way that she's speaking is completely different from when you see her talking on the body cam. And, maybe she'll get lucky and have some jurors that have had a few rough nights, maybe not ended in hide and seek in a suitcase, but can relate to falling asleep after having a few bottles of wine. She can certainly go that route. She said she wants a lawyer that's going to maintain faith in their client. And I absolutely think she's going to have a lot of faith to go forward with the defense in this case.
And Joseph, I'll give the final word here. And it seemed from her interrogation, she had no idea that she had recorded this on video. So there's some level of her blacking out as to what happened the night before. Is that relevant in a criminal case?
Sure. I agree. I concur that the inebriation is part of the defense, but those complement one another. The borderline personality disorder that she's clearly exhibited in the inebriation, those complement one another. And I think, look, that's the only avenue. That's what she has to do. So it is a defensible case, but Vinnie, statistically, those defenses only succeed on a very small percentage of cases. You just had one in Florida recently, but they're very, very difficult to do.
All right, Joseph Krowski Jr., Sue Ann Robinson. As I said, she's been known to watch court TV. If you get a call and you're making an appearance, please just give us a little tip so we can get it, and it's not just Fox 35 down in Orlando who's getting the scoop.
Will do.
I heard Alan Jackson's trying to jump on board, though, so who knows?
You see, I knew he was going to do that. Thank you both, Sue Ann and Joseph. We'll speak again. When we come back, she has filed a flyer. This is an actual want ad. Inmate seeks attorney. So our own Cody is on the Suitcase case tonight, sending this flyer and going to the courthouse to see if anyone wants to take the case.
A former ballerina charged in the death of her husband.
Said that she attacked her and she shot him.
She's claiming that he is the aggressor in all of this.
I see a liar. I see a manipulator. She killed my dad.
Will the jury see her actions as self-defense?
Boy, did she have every reason to fear him.
Or murder.
The Black Swan Murder Trial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
Other ways to win in more than one way. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not saying that I'm trying to remove her. I'm just trying to ask you, please, forgive me for having to ask you for this. If you could please let her know, please, to just be nice to me and have a welcoming attitude, and things will probably change.
Unbelievable. Sarah Boone wants her lawyer to be nice to her. That was one of the 8 lawyers. I mean, from the beginning, she has been reaching out to the judge, complaining about her lawyers from the beginning, and 8 of them have left the case because they can't get along with her. And she said, well, just be nice to me. And then she wants them to spend all their time on her case. She doesn't quite understand how it works. But she's been serving 4 years already on this. But now she has filed with the court a flyer, which is really like a want ad. Let me show it to you, because it's pretty interesting. Inmate seeking attorney, looking for a prosperous challenge? Ready for your close-up on national television? Are you zealous with a side of keen? Show the world who you are with your original creativity, extraordinary expertise, and confident ingenuity. Qualifications must include being trustworthy, client inclusion all times. That's a big one for her. Extreme efficiency in listening, because you know what? She's going to talk a lot. Capability of excellence in representation, maintaining faith in client. Epic opportunity awaits. Sarah Boone, inmate number 20005623. Invest in the oppressed, believe. So this is like a want ad, right? Inmate seeking an attorney. So what we did today is we took the flyer and we took our producer, Court TV producer Cody Thomas, who is on the Suitcase case tonight. You took the flyer, you headed to the local courthouse, and looking for a lawyer for Sarah Boone.
And Vinnie, the best part about this story is that not a single one of these attorneys had heard of this case. So all of their reactions were first genuine impressions. Of course, they had a lot of questions. You know, how did this hide and seek game begin? How did he zip himself into a suitcase? I don't want to spoil too much, so I want to show you their reactions to all the facts of this case that I presented to them today.
Let's take a look.
Have you heard of the Florida versus Sarah Boone case?
I have not.
Have not heard of it.
No, it's Sarah Boone. Someone was hit with a suitcase or something.
Just watch this.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
You think you got the gist of the video? You think you understand?
There's a guy in there, and he's still alive.
He's still alive in this video.
Yeah.
So what are your initial reactions after seeing that? That is Sarah Boone speaking, by the way, the woman's voice.
Okay.
And there's a man in that suitcase. So what are your initial thoughts after seeing that video?
As a defense attorney, I'm cringing at the fact that the client took a video of this, but does not look great.
My question is, if he's in the suitcase, how did he get zipped into the suitcase? He didn't zip himself in from the inside. Somebody on the outside zipped him in. So for her to be able to say, I forgot about it, I find that hard to believe.
You're a defense attorney, right? She's gone through 8 public defenders.
It's the client's choice whether or not they want representation by those people, so I mean, that's her right, unfortunately.
The defense attorney can't make a defendant do something. You have a defendant that has their own idea of what they want their defense to be.
They probably either think that they've got a problem with their case or their client, they just don't want to deal with the client.
Now, this is where we're going to get to the interesting part. A few days ago, she draws up this flyer in jail. I want you to take a look at that.
Well, she's creative, that's for sure.
Just seeing it, bottom line, it like I said, I think there's some issues mentally.
You only looked at it for a couple seconds. That's what you got immediately?
Right, immediately.
You know, if that's how she wants to get representation, I think she can do that, but it is not something I've seen before.
Would you take this case as she's advertising for an attorney, or would you?
Oh, no.
You stay 100 feet away from it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
No chance at all?
No chance, absolutely not.
I don't know that I would take the case personally. I think it would take a very special kind of attorney to take this kind of case, for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Why not?
She's crazy.
It's plain as day, simple as that.
Yeah. Looking at this, I can tell this is not going to be somebody that lets me do my job. This is going to be somebody that wants to do the job for me, and if you're not going to let me do my job, I can't help you.
It would definitely be a large hurdle to overcome, I think, given it's on video. You know, you can tell she's in the video and what's going on there, so I think that would be a very high hurdle to meet.
And then the case, if that's any indication of
the folks who knew nothing about the case, from she's going to want control, right? So maybe the best place is for her to represent herself at the end of the day. But It's going to be tough. What do you see when you look at that flyer? When you looked at that flyer?
Well,
this looked to someone I would hire if I was running for student council again.
Oh, well, I was going to say it looks like a Battle of the Bands flyer, like in the early 90s or something, like a garage band type deal. You know?
Exactly. I mean, she's got time on her hands, right? She's obviously got time. But the other mystery was that she was into court like the night before. You're coming in. We didn't know about it until it happened as well. But this is one we're going to keep our eye on. We're going to keep our eye on. But no way anyone's touching this. No. The 10-foot pole. All right.
100-foot pole at that.
Cody Thomas on the case.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. You know, when you think about this case, folks, it's been with us for 4 years, and we've been waiting for the trial to happen, and we were asking the question, will it ever happen? Well, it's all because of what's going on or not going on in the mind of Sarah Boone. And on the one hand, it's tragic, right? If someone's suffering from mental illness, it's tragic that she's caught in our system now. But on the other hand, the trial has to go forward. There has to be some sense of justice for the victim in this case, George Torres. As we said, he died a horrible death inside of that suitcase. We've got the video. We're going to play you the video, and then we'll get some analysis from our psychological experts to talk about what does it take to record someone as they're dying and do nothing.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I put him in his case and we were playing, and like kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep, and I woke up, and he was dead in the suitcase. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
I can tell you exactly what happened. He died. George Torres died inside of that suitcase because he was left in there. At one point, he's begging for his life, but his girlfriend, Sarah Boone, did nothing, did absolutely nothing while he suffered and was tortured and passed away in an excruciating death. So what Sarah Boone didn't necessarily remember the next day is that while this is happening, she's recording it on her phone. And we have that video. We're going to show it to you right now. It's a couple minutes of video that she recorded. You'll hear her voice, and you'll hear his voice from inside the suitcase. It's tough. It's tough, but it's what happened in this case. I've given you a warning. Let's take a look.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it up.
Sarah, I can't breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. 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 Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Real or ransom. I want to get video for it extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Real or ransom.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you chewing on me.
Sarah.
You.
Breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the up.
Sarah.
Shh.
I want to bring in our experts. Joining us, clinical and forensic neuropsychologist, associate professor at Pepperdine University, and author of the book, The New Rules of Attachment, Dr. Judy Ho is with us. Also joining us, psychotherapist and CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacey. Thank you both for joining us tonight. Dr. Judy Ho, where's the humanity here? What's going on? She's not recording and taunting as he is begging and dying.
What a difficult video to watch, Vinnie. But it really shows a glimpse into her state of mind as he was pleading for his life. And you can tell he was really suffering because he could only manage to get out a few short words. Most of it was just calling her name over and over again and clearly communicating to her that he was suffocating. And it would just be seconds before she would even respond. And when she did, it was a chuckle and it was about, well, here's how you mistreated me and this is what it feels like. I understand that there's a lot of resentment and anger in this dysfunctional relationship, but the fact that she basically just sat aside and while he was dying, that those were the only comments she made, really shows that the empathy is just not there.
Dr. Janie Lacey, there is history here in this relationship. They both have domestic violence arrests. There are problems that they had. It seemed that night that they were both drinking. There's, I think, an empty bottle of wine that was found there as well. What are your thoughts about that moment and this dynamic and how someone could not just say, okay, the joke's over, you can't breathe?
Well, you said it, Vinnie. There's a history here of this toxic dynamic, and coming up until this moment, as we're hearing her record him and watch him suffer, that we have to assume that she was disconnected from the reality of what was really happening and the intensity of her own emotion, of her own resentment, and all the things that she felt justified. And as we're hearing the dialogue between them. So as we're seeing that, you know, we're considering that she's under the influence. We're considering the toxic relationship and dynamics and the intensity of emotions and resentment and all the things that she was feeling in that moment, that there was probably we can assume that there was a disconnection of reality, that she's seeing him suffer, but she's only thinking about her own suffering and not necessarily having, as my colleague said, the empathy of what her boyfriend was going through in that moment, because she was only focusing on her feelings and what she went through. And as she was alluding to them having domestic violence and him cheating on her and these other types of things. So only focusing on the justification of her anger and allowing him to suffer in that moment.
I want to take a look at another video. This is a body camera video outside her home when police respond. So this is the first time she's speaking face to face with law enforcement. Let's take a listen.
We have a puzzle that we started in there. Okay. We've been doing art, trying to take the stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night. Okay. So then it's like, we decided to play hide and seek, right? Okay. So he gets in the suitcase. Okay. Who is this guy? That's my ex-husband, my former husband. How did he live here with you guys? No. I called him over here. Okay, okay. I didn't know what to do. Okay. I didn't know what to do. Okay. So then he came over here. Here, let's talk in private, okay? I called you guys. I tried giving you CPR. The problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep. When did you do CPR? This morning, when I found it. Before you called? Yes! 1 o'clock right now. I tried. I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30-ish, whatever. So I came downstairs, and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him, and I took him out, and I tried doing CPR, and then I called him, and then I called you guys. Did he get here before the fire department got here? Who? Your husband? Or your ex-husband? Yes. Okay. Where does he live at? Right down the street. Okay. So you were playing and who dipped him up in? I did, but then I fell asleep. Okay, you're okay. I wasn't here. I'm just trying to figure out what happened. I fell asleep, so I don't know if he suffocated or like had an aneurysm or a heart attack or what. What kind of medical conditions does he have? None that I know of. Nothing that you know of. None that I know of. You didn't take any medicine? No. All we had was a bottle of wine. Literally, just a bottle of wine. Okay. Doing puzzle artwork. Then we decided to play hide and seek. That's all that happened.
There's a lot here. Dr. Janie Lacey, I'll begin with you. like her emotions and the way she's speaking, it's very like, I'm not following her. What's going on here?
You know, what I would wonder about her and her history, especially watching this video, is potentially some type of perhaps personality disorder, the instability of emotion, and then to have to be able to call her ex-husband, right? So we also know when people have personality disorders, they have difficult relationships, there's instability of mood, they have strange behavior, these types of things. So as we're watching and listening to her and the disconnect of the time lapse of leaving him in the suitcase and what she was trying to describe as her sleeping and waking up and then calling her ex-husband, it just seems really strange. So my mind would go into understanding and trying to figure out, you know, if there's been a history there for her leading up to this moment, and I would probably lead to some type of personality disorder that we're actually seeing as she's talking to this police officer.
Dr. Judy Ho, as we're watching her here, she knows that he's dead at this point. Like, she knows he's dead. She knows he was locked in a suitcase, but she can't put 2 and 2 together.
I know, Vinny. I mean, when you see the first half of the video that you just showed us, she's kind of almost very calmly just talking about their night before. Hey, it was an innocuous night, had a bottle of wine, playing with a puzzle, started playing hide and seek. And you notice where her emotional tone changed. It was when the police officer said, but it's 1 o'clock. I mean, it's a good question, you know, because she's basically saying, well, this is what happened. And she's saying, hey, it's in the middle of the afternoon now. What took you so long, essentially? There was a little bit of an insinuation there, maybe, on the part of the police officer. And that's when her emotions started flying everywhere. That instability that Dr. Lacey mentioned really came out at that moment, right? Then she becomes really disorganized. She sounds like she's already defending herself, right? I was already awake. I just didn't get out of bed until X amount of time. So even though she can't put 2 and 2 together, I think she knows she's clearly a person of interest. And the minute that she feels she's being accused of anything, that's when you see the disorganization. And I have to wonder if that type of display is what's led, in part, all of her attorneys to quit, because they can't really work with her, because they don't know what to expect and they can't organize a defense for her.
I want to take a quick look at one other piece of video. This is from her interrogation when she's confronted with the video that she apparently didn't know that she recorded. Let's watch.
I thought he was okay. Like, I didn't, he's telling you he's not. He's telling you, Sarah, I can't breathe. He's saying your name and you're like, that's my name, don't wear it out.
Guys, that's how we are with each other. Like, nobody understands our relationship. The whole suitcase thing never happened before.
Would you leave someone else in a suitcase? Would you leave Lucas in a suitcase jokingly? Because it was a joking matter. You put him in there jokingly. Would you leave Lucas jokingly in there? And you love Lucas, right? And you love
I wouldn't do
George.
that to him either. I wouldn't do that to him.
So I just.
Well, it's not like, again, I don't think you all understand. Like, that was not my intention. Y'all don't have any idea what I've done for him.
But by your acts, and that's exactly right. You get to the point where you've done so much for somebody and they don't show you any appreciation.
He did.
Not by your words in the video. I don't get that.
Dr. Judy Ho, you all don't understand is what she's saying. You all don't understand what's going on here. How about that?
Right. Yeah, so that's essentially a classic example of when you don't take any responsibility and turn the blame onto other people. You make them question their actions and their judgment. I mean, I think that the detectives in this case aren't falling for it. But you can see how when that attention gets flipped, the person usually that she would be targeting, now they're put on the defense, right? They have to explain themselves as opposed to her doing the explaining. And just the fact that she's justifying this, saying this is just how we are, this is how you are, you just attempt to murder each other all the time. I mean, what is she really insinuating here? But it's this idea of, oh, you just don't understand our love. Our love is so difficult to understand for the average person and you just don't get it. It's almost like she doesn't still appreciate the true consequence of what happened, which is that she inadvertently took a person's life, inadvertently or consciously.
Unbelievable. Dr. Judy Ho, Dr. Janie Lacey, appreciate your time and your insight. When we come back, we're going to take a look at that want ad poster that she put together, looking for a lawyer The handwriting, very unique. We're going to bring in some handwriting experts to analyze that when we return.
Most successful true crime TV shows ever.
This is crazy.
Now has a new home on America's original true crime obsession, 48 Hours on Court TV. Coming up next on Court TV.
A former ballerina charged in the death of her husband.
Will the jury see her actions as self-defense?
She killed my dad.
Or murder?
The Black Swan Murder Trial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
And I feel that she is untruthful with me and full-blown prejudice against me, which I believe adds to her nasty attitude towards me. And I do not trust her. So I have prepared this for you. It's a letter and then a continuation of the letter from the video visit, so you are aware of. And everyone constantly blames me that I am the reason why I am supposedly on attorney number 8, which I am not the reason for any of them.
Sarah Boone in court talking about a letter that she wrote to the judge. She's written a lot of letters, but we've got this 7-page letter, which also had with it the now infamous inmate seeks attorney flyer that she filed looking for someone to represent her. And the one thing about her letters, everything is handwritten, and when you look at the letter and you look at the flyer, very unique. So what can we ascertain? What can we read into her actual handwriting? What does it tell us about Sarah Boone? I need experts joining us tonight. Handwriting expert and author of the book, Sex, Lies, and Handwriting, Michelle Dresbold is with us. And also joining us, handwriting analysis expert, Jamie Mason-Cohen. Thank you both for being here. I know you've had an opportunity to take a look at this stuff and go through it. So I'll start with you, Michelle. One thing you were talking about was this opening paragraph of the letter and something with the margin. What should we be looking at? What does it tell us?
Okay, when you look at handwriting, and on the line paper, you have a left margin. That left margin represents boundaries of society. When she starts out, you can see she starts out, she writes past the left margin, which is normal. However, as the letter goes down throughout the 5 pages, she decides that she's going to disregard that margin. By disregarding the margin, what does that mean? It means I'm disregarding the rules, the boundaries that are set for me. So there it is right there. When you see, now, if somebody only has a teeny piece of, have to write and use the whole paper to get the message across, she has page after page after page. She doesn't have to, use all that space. She decides that margin, or what we call boundary, is not for her. And that's it. If ever you see a sign. So that's what that going through the margin means. And I would like to point out one other thing on that page, if we can put that up again.
Absolutely.
Okay. I want you to look at that. Where's my discovery? I am still waiting for you. That first line. If you look at the word I, as in I am still, there's 2 ways you show yourself. The letter I, which means me, myself, and I. If you look at that I carefully, it's broken into 2 parts. When you see the letter, the personal pronoun I broken, it's an indication of mental illness, that the person is sort of falling apart. You find that in schizophrenics handwriting, you find that in bipolar handwriting, and you also find that in split personality handwriting. Her eyes throughout this whole page, you'll see if you look at it, the I is in 2 separate parts. It's broken. So what is she? She's broken, and it's right there in her letter I.
That would be very consistent with what she is presenting inside the courtroom. All right, Jamie, you took a look at the top of the flyer, this inmate seeks attorney flyer. As we know, she's gone through 8 who have left the case. What are you seeing here, Jamie?
Well, I'm seeing overall the font is meticulous
It's screaming out, I want attention. There is a certain aesthetic sense to it, but if you also look at the content, it is about flaunting this awful situation to try to gain a certain infamy. She talks about herself as not an inmate, she calls herself oppressed. She's talking about herself as a victim. So if you take this over-the-top, flamboyant font and you connect it with the content, which is screaming a narcissistic desire for people to notice her, to be seen, then you have someone who is seeing the world from a delusional standpoint.
Michelle, you also noted something about her signature at the bottom. What do you see in her signature?
Okay, can we see that? Okay. I want you, the handwriting's fairly consistent size throughout the whole script, except for that huge signature, Sarah Boone. I don't know how you pronounce her now, Boone?
Boone.
Her signature, Boone, I'm so sorry. Her signature is overly large. There was another word, it was surprise, that was overly large. So surprise Sarah. And that's her message. Her signature is enormous. And what does that mean? It means world, look at me, I'm Sarah, look at me. Now, what else is interesting in her signature are those letter O's. If you see them, they're kind of all loopy. And it's also very loopy in the printed O of her last name. Your O is your communication letter. The clearer, think of it as like a mouth. The clearer and cleaner it is, the more truthful a person is, and the more you can understand their communication. The more junk inside of an O or A means the person is, I don't want to say lies, but let's just say doesn't tell the truth, and you can't understand what they're communicating. So those. Can we look at that one more time? I'm going to show you something about a con artist, if I can. Can we look at this?
Yeah, we're going to put it up. You just got to push a couple buttons.
Thank you.
This is the signature part, correct? There we go.
Just the same. Another thing, if you look at if you just look at that last name, and you put your hands around everything around it, you couldn't really read it. When you have a name that you think you can read, and you can't, it's not one that's a scribble. You think you can read it, but when you take it out of context, you're not sure what those letters are. That's like, oh, I'm letting you see what I want you to see. I don't know. And
yeah. We're out of time, unfortunately. We're out of time here. We will do this again. We absolutely will. Appreciate your time, Michelle Dresbold and Jamie Cohen. Thank you both so much. Before we go, we have a missing child who needs your help. Please take a look at the screen. This is Nyurka Diana Boots Rax. Nyurka is missing out of Coffee Springs, Alabama, only 15 years old. Since July 19th. If you see Nyurka, please pick up the phone, make the call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Coffee County Sheriff's Office in Alabama. Numbers on the screen. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hug the kids.